automatically the loop is hot.
But not the.
Then each Danfoss has to open up. Now, if you look at this mess, what I remember a damn mess. How do you get these off? Do you remember, Dimitri?
Just like this.
You got heat?
All right, so that's cold. Now, what's supposed to happen, theoretically, could you move this over?
Yeah.
We have a 3/4 line from the boiler feeding this. Well, that's too small. But right now, this line here is ripping hot. All right? And this is called a circuit setter. It's a B&G circuit setter balancing valve. So you can throttle back to make sure that we're getting equal flow. This is a zone, it's a zone valve, basically.
Thermostatic.
But it's operated as it's a Danfoss valve. They're different brands.
Right.
This isn't Danfoss. But, and this one's maybe broken. I don't know.
So that's the thermostat.
And that's a thermostat. So this thing is sets. So this is ripping hot and this is ice cold. So right now, that says I'm satisfied, but that loop continues to flow, right?
Yep.
So downstairs, I don't remember if it's a Venturi system without opening it, which has two T's. You guys know what that is, or if it's a loop.
That one doesn't have the dial.
But
No dial.
if it's a loop, you lose the heat, more heat in the first one. Now, I just turned that up all the way to 5 to see if this opens. There's a little pin in there. Now this is getting hot.
Okay, Joe,
Yeah,
how about the radiator to your right?
I don't believe there's anything in it.
Got it.
But this is now getting
Three-quarter
hot.
pipe into it.
Yeah.
Because I just turned that Danfoss all the way up. It's an empty cabinet,
It's just empty.
I think.
Oh,
Pipe-
I got
pipes.
I'm pretty sure it's no heat.
Yeah, there's some.
No heat.
No heat. I'm gonna remove the fins.
Oh,
No, they didn't. There was never any radiator put up in here. Or maybe there was, to Dimitri's point. Maybe they just,
Yeah, there's my.
But
So
that's
they're
a-
just using that as a cover.
oh,
The
that
fins.
had fins on it, you're right.
Yeah, and it must
So this
have had
room
too
must
much
have been
heat.
overheated.
Too much heat.
too much heat.
The only reason is because this didn't have Danfoss. So it didn't have
Yeah.
Danfoss, that
It was
means,
hot all the time.
that means this was always kicking out heat, because if it was
Yeah.
just a piece of fin, it would always throw off the heat. That, you see how it goes through the bottom unless that little Danfoss calls. So I don't know that, you gotta do a heat loss. You gotta determine, okay, how much heat does this room need? Each and every room. And then you see, is it in fact done right? Theoretically, it's not a bad plan. I would have used a larger pipe, and I would have done a Venturi system if we were doing it from scratch. But I don't know that they have enough proper heat in each one of these rooms. Somebody's got to, do the heat loss. Figure out how much heat each room needs. So now I'm saying, okay, well, do you want to try to simplify this? Do a heat loss for each room, and then just do a continuous loop for all of these zones. And that's all going to depend on pipe size. So I can get, I believe it's 75,000 BTUs, 70,000 BTUs out of 3/4 inch pipe. Now that's what they're doing now, but in fact it doesn't do the job in the real cold winter. I don't know if that's because the pipe is undersized, the heating elements rather, or the whole line coming up. So all that has to be performed. Does that make sense? So, I don't think you wanna, I don't know how old's the unit on the roof?
Since the construction, right, since the new renovation.
20 years, 25?
1988, 89.
Okay, so we're 30-something years old. You're probably gonna be changing that air handler. if you change that air handler, would it behoove you to put a gas-fired, since you got gas now, warm air furnace combination rooftop unit? Right? Because it's an outside rooftop unit with AC only. That, I mean, if it was going to be new and you had gas in the beginning, that probably would have been the best option. It's not a quick solution, but it's a thought. You know, and I just like to put all types of thoughts out there because there's so many options. And we're trying to work within the confines of what we have, which makes this harder. You know,
Well,
we,
you're set with the pipes that you've got.
exactly, and
You
that
can't
doesn't make
redo
it
all the
right.
piping.
And that doesn't make, like I said, I don't know that the pipes are big enough to carry the amount of heat loss here. So, you know, we gotta come in, measure the rooms, do a heat loss, ceiling heights, windows, you know, square footage, and find out, does this room require 5,000 BTUs, 8,000 BTUs? I don't know. A regular fin tube, which we put in all the time, gives me 500, or the high output is 700. These things are a little more, I don't know, are they 1,000? Per foot, you know what I mean, per linear foot. Being fed, now that's inch and well, that's 1 inch. Being fed though with 3/4 inch pipe makes it less, the
Right,
heat less
so
available
you've got
going to the
less
last
hot
one.
water coming into the fins, so the heat is not there. It needs a bigger,
Well, I have cooler hot water too on the last one, don't
yeah.
I? So the first one is gonna get full temperature. The last one's gonna not get full temperature, right?
Right.
So, and now having temperature reset control outside, this boiler only makes what it needs to based on outside temperature. So if you got extra heat loss in this room, drafty windows and stuff like that, you have to have extra heat to compensate that. Does that make sense? So, oh yeah. I'm gonna turn this down. Turn it off. So anyway, I think that makes sense to you, right? I know it makes sense to Rob.
Absolutely.
No, I understand.
It does make sense, yes.
But what we've got here, in a lot of ways,
But yes,
to think about this is, go back to early computers. You know, you bought a computer with a box that had a Pentium 2 in it, then all of a sudden you got a Pentium 5. You wanna just stick a Pentium 5 in, but the whole system is only geared for the electrical capacity for a Pentium 2.